Good morning, all of you. I think all of you are waiting for a bio period. You are done with your physics period. Hope you have understood what the teacher has taught. Yes, somebody saying yes. Go through whatever she has taught. We will go through, now we will start with our biology class. I hope all of you went through what we had done yesterday, what I've taught you yesterday. Hope you have gone through with your text and read whatever I've taught. I hope there are no doubts. I think it's very much clear of what I've taught. Oh, sorry, there's a little disturbance. Okay, we are back. Till now, what I've taught, we can just recall of what I said, what we had about the preparation of soil. We prepared the soil. Then after preparing the soil, we had a lot of tools involved in that. We had to take, the farmers have to really take those tools and go and do the preparation of soil. They leveled it. And then, what did they do after that? They've kept the soil ready as such for doing the sowing part. The sowing part, when the farmers do, I said, we have to place the seeds at a uniform distance, okay, and at depth, so that the seeds are covered by the soil and they won't be overcrowding of the plants. So all that you must have gone through. And if the seeds are out of the soil, what happens? Who will come and attack? The birds. So we have to keep all that in mind. The farmers have to keep all that in mind and then go on with the sowing. Sowing is done with the help of the traditional tool, the funnel shaped. They have pipes in which it is inserted, the seeds are inserted. All that you must have gone through that. And after that, we said nowadays what we use is the seed drill. So that is the sowing part. Then to get better, to make the soil texture better, what I said, or what the farmers will do, they will add manures and fertilizers. By now you must be knowing what are manures and fertilizers. So we have to add manures or fertilizers. But why we prefer manures than fertilizers, I've told you that also. It's better to have manures rather than having fertilizers. Manures are made in the field, and in fact fertilizers are made in factories. So normally farmers, they prefer manures. And then I mentioned the ways how to replenish the soil, what the process like crop rotation, then what the farmers do in North India, how they grow one crop after the another alternately. Like one season they have the legumes and the next season they have the wheat crop. In such a way that when we do this, when the farmers do this, they can have the soil, the soil won't lose its important nutrients for it. So when we do alternately, when the crops are planted alternately, we can save the soil from not losing the nutrients. So we have stopped till there. I just gave a recall. Please go through this. You can't just, now what's happening, I know what's happening there at your home. You watch me online, you watch us online, you take down notes after notes, you're going on writing, and I know that just maybe one or two must be just, we'll go through it, and the rest of the books are just kept aside. Don't do that. You have to go through whatever has been taught so that you be in track with us. Other just coming and just watching us and just writing the notes won't help you. So please go through it. Sowing is over. Adding manure fertilizer is over. Now next we have what is irrigation. From the word itself, you know that it is watering of plants. Why is water essential? Or why is it important? Why is water important? Water is essential because germination of seed does not take place under dry condition. If the soil is dry, do you think we'll have the crop of the plant what we want? No, we have to water it. So watering process should be on. We cannot have, without watering the plants, the soil will be dry, nothing will work out. The germination of seeds won't work out. So water also protects the crop from both frost and hot air, from the cold weather conditions and from the hot air. We have hot air coming. So water, these are the essential point why water is necessary. Because germination of seeds does not take place under dry condition. Next, water also protects the crop from both frost and hot air currents. I hope you are getting along with me and you all are with me. Then for what? To maintain the moisture of the soil for healthy crop, growth fields have to be watered regularly. This is just nothing. Fields have to be watered regularly. We have to water the field regularly. Irrigation should be done regularly. Okay? Now we'll move on. Now what is irrigation? You must have found out there are several definitions as such. Water kharif crops, water rabi crops. Yeah, before I forget. So many of you, I think by a lot of you, so many from different divisions, all of you have posted your notes, your assignments. I'm so happy to see that. I've noted all of them, whoever submitted on my window. I've noted your names, the assignments, what you have done. Okay, those who are still doing, please, I've given a submission date, so don't worry. But if you have done, you can submit, you're always welcome. But I've noted whoever has given us today. Some of them, the funniest part is, I got 2-3 of them. For example, the person has posted, and the child is still in 7C. The person is laughing now. I'm sure after hearing this. He is still in the memories. He is supposed to be now in a new grade, 8C, but he forgot and he has given it as 7C. Not only there's a she, or I got so many of them, and I did call them back and told them that come back, we are in the 8th grade. So please give your correct names, your name and division, class I know, but you give like this, the name, class and division. Whenever you post, please do that. And please write neatly all your notes. Don't just write for the sake of writing and dumping on my window. Please write it neatly. Okay, so now let's move on. What is irrigation? The supply of crops at different intervals is called irrigation. So you have to, the supply of water to crops at different intervals is called irrigation. Namely, they can ask, define irrigation. What is irrigation? They can ask us, what is irrigation? Define irrigation. Now, when we supply, different crops have different times. We have to supply the water for it. You can't just take the pipe and just supply water. There is time and frequency. If you give a lot of water, obviously, the crop will get damaged. There's time, there's frequency. It varies from crop to crop and season to season. Okay, the paddy normally they require the rainy season. They can only grow then and there. You cannot take the paddy plant and put up in the summer season. Okay, so each crop has its time and frequency. It varies from crop to crop, soil to soil, and season to season. But we should make sure the crops are watered accordingly, depending on these factors what I've mentioned. Now in summer, obviously, when you know it's summer, it is hot, it's warm. The frequency of watering is higher because the rate of evaporation of water from the soil and the rate of evaporation of water is higher. It is in summer, the frequency water is higher. We should water a bit more than what is needed as the rate of evaporation of water from the soil and the leaves. Okay, so we have to water in the summer climate, we have to, summer season, a little more added water is needed. We should supply water a little more ahead. So let's move on. Now there are different sources of irrigation, types of irrigation. I'm sure your text must be open. You can see, and I've given images also. The sources of irrigation are 1. Like wells, sure, wells all of you know. Tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams and canals. These are the sources of irrigation. How the water will reach through such sources, the water will reach to the crop. Wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams and canals. So we can ask, such a question can come, give two sources of irrigation or name two sources of irrigation. What are the two sources of irrigation? Or name two. Mainly these questions have been asked like this. Name two sources. So whichever comes in your head, you can write it. This is not that difficult to remember. Now here, I just mentioned how the sources of irrigation are. The water from the wells, lakes and canals are lifted by different methods in different regions. So when they're watering the crops, or from the wells, from the lakes, from the canals, it differs in different regions. So what do? Cattle or human labor is used in such methods because they are much cheaper but less efficient. It becomes slower. When you use animals and our human labor, it becomes less efficient. Okay, so there are traditional ways of doing irrigation. That is Moat, the pulley system, the chain pump, Deckley, Rahat. I can hear somebody smiling and laughing. Funny names. That's okay. You just have to know them. You don't have to worry about the pronunciation. You just have to know them. At least the spelling should be right. The various traditional ways are Moat or the pulley system. If you can't remember Moat, you can write the pulley system, the chain pump, Deckley, and Rahat, the lever system. These are the various traditional ways. I'm sure you must have already seen in your text. They have given images. I've also pasted for you to see more better. We have the Moat, the pulley system. You can see the pulley system, the chain pump. You have the chain pump. And here we have the Deckley or the Rahat, the lever system. So these are the traditional ways of irrigation. Moat, the pulley system, chain pump. We have the Deckley. You can see how it is done there. And Rahat, the lever system. These are the traditional ways. Normally what they use is pumps are commonly used for lifting water because that is more easy and better. And for that, to run these pumps, you need something, right? You can't just take the pump and keep there. We need diesel, biogas, electricity and solar energy is used to run these pumps. You can see an image there. Pumps are used for lifting the water. This is common most of the fields. It becomes easier. But to run these, they need diesel, biogas, electricity and solar energy is to run these pumps. I hope you all are with me. Now we finished with the traditional way of watering. Now we have the modern, the same way what we did sowing. We had the traditional way of sowing with the help of funnel. Then the modern way was seed drill. In the same way, we have here also irrigation. We already mentioned the traditional ways by the Moat system, the Rahat, the Deckley. Okay, we have done with that. The same way as technology, as modern methods come up, we have to use that for easier way of taking up in the fields. So modern methods of irrigation, one, help us to use water economically. We cannot waste water. So it has to be used economically. That is a word used. It helps to use water economically. So what are the modern ways? One, the sprinkler system. You can see, I've given an image, drip, and the second one, drip system. This I'm sure you must have seen in most of the gardens or the parks, wherever you go, you have that. I'm sure you know this. This will be very familiar to you, the system, the sprinkler system. You have a pipe and you have a top and then it rotates. There's a nozzle there and the water just rotates. And when you go in the garden, and normally in the gardens or parks, you have such a thing. This is very common, the sprinkler system. And next is the drip system. So when you use such methods, we can use the water economically without wasting water. We have to water the crops, that is very important, according to the season, according to time, according to the frequency, but at the same time, we should not waste water. We should give the right time, the right amount of water for the crops. So here nowadays we have this sprinkler system and the drip system. Now we can go a little more detail what is sprinkler system and what is drip system, or drip irrigation or versus sprinkler irrigation. This I'm sure you have seen in most of the places you have this. Here the sprinkler system. Again I'm saying you have to know why it is used for and where it is used for. They have given a structure, likewise I said in the plow, hoe, we have this structure. You just have to know the structure, how it is done, or how do we use it. But when a question is asked, sprinkler system is used on what type of land, you should be able to answer that. Okay? We don't expect you to learn the structure, but at least you will get to know how it is done. That is explained and given in your text as well, and I have taken that to explain it to you. This system, the sprinkler system, is more useful on what type of land? On the uneven land. Why we use an uneven land? Because there sufficient water is not available. Again I will say that, we can repeat it. The sprinkler system is more useful on the uneven land where sufficient water is not available. We use this type of irrigation or this type of system for supplying water to the crops. We use it because on the uneven land the water is not there enough. So we use this type of system so it will go everywhere. Now what it is, the structure as such is given. Again I'm saying you just have to go through what it is. In a sprinkler system there will be perpendicular pipes with rotating nozzles. Obviously a pipe and we have a nozzle that will rotate when we pump water through it. It is very simple. You don't even have to memorize it. It is just a perpendicular pipe is there. On that it has a rotating nozzles on top. That is connected to the main pipe. You can just imagine a pipe, on top of that we have a nozzle as such which rotates. Only when that rotates, the whole land or whatever place they have placed the sprinkler system, it will water the plants. The water is pumped under high pressure. Okay? The water it is pumped at high pressure to the main pipe, and what happens? Obviously, water escapes from the rotating nozzles. It gets sprinkled on the crop as if it is raining. I have experienced this. In the garden when I go in the garden, these such sprinkler systems are there in the garden. We have that unknowingly, if you use stamp or you are not aware that such a system is there, you are done. Your water. I'm sure most of you must have underwent this. Okay? Now sprinkler system, where it is useful mainly for the sandy soil. Okay, the structure is easy. We have perpendicular pipes. We have a rotating nozzle. Okay, only if that nozzle, and because of the rotation of the nozzle, it goes up like, sprinkles everywhere. And what happens? The water is pumped under high pressure. When water is pumped under high pressure, it will sprinkle everywhere. The rotating nozzles will move and the water is under high pressure. Naturally, the whole area, means wherever it is placed, that whole area will get the correct amount of water. And this sprinkler system is mainly useful for the sandy soil. It is more useful for the uneven land also, where sufficient water is not available, as well as for sandy soil. Now we go to another modern method of irrigation, that is drip system. You have to know. See, questions can come up like this. Mention 2 modern methods of irrigation. So one is sprinkler system and one is drip system. Then an add-on question can come like, explain the drip system. It's not difficult, it's very easy. Just 1 or 2 lines you can see the text as well as what I've shown you in the slide. Drip system is teacher's favorite. Okay, so you have to know this. Mostly they don't ask about sprinkler system to explain as such, mainly the structure and how it is done. They just ask like where it is used or where is it useful, in the area where it's useful. Here drip system, you have to know what it is. Okay, so you cannot leave our dear drip system. I hope all of you are with me. Yes, somebody said yes. Okay, good. In this system, water from that drip system is a drip, 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 or it is like drop, drop, drop. So water falls drop by drop at the position where the roots are. So slowly, slowly, or drip, drip, or drop, drop, where it drops at the position where roots are. So it is called drip system. Mainly the highlight is drop by drop. Water is falls drop by drop. That is the right thing. Drip system, that line should be there. Water falls drop by drop. Where? Not for the whole thing. Correctly at the position of the root. So you must understand the use of water is done economically. We are not wasting water. Directly it goes drip, drop by drop to the position where the roots are. It is the best technique for watering fruits, fruit plants, gardens and trees. This is also one of the best technique, the best modern technique where it is used for watering for fruit plants, gardens and trees. Now what it is, or the importance of it. In this system, provides water to plants drop by drop, and water is not wasted. The highlighted, it is the water, whatever water the plant is getting, it is by drop, and water is not, what is it? Wasted. So it is the best method where availability of water is poor. So this is also another best method. If the plant is not getting enough water, we can place this system and it helps by drop. Again, I'm telling you, drip system is important. You should know this. As such, they have not given the structure how it is done, but at least they have told where it is useful and why it is. Mainly it is because the water falls drop by drop and water is not wasted. See, when I highlight in red always, these are the very important points where you have to know. So when you can see in the slide itself, I've given two different colors. So you must understand when it is highlighted in red, those portions are important. So if you have your text, you can underline those or you can note down, as I said, in a separate book and learn it. So I hope you understood what is drip system. Drop by drop. Okay, the other one, it sprinkles all over. Here, this is the best method and the water is not wasted. Now we'll move forward. Earlier I said, we're done with the preparation of soil. All those is over. Sowing we did. After sowing, what we do? We added manures and fertilizers. Then we have done with irrigation. Then I've told you, dear somebody who disturbs the healthy plants. Who are those? They are unwanted plants called, or undesirable plants called weeds. What happens? When these weeds, I did mention this in the beginning itself when we did our class, these weeds or these such plants, if they grow along with a healthy crop, what will happen? Our plant will not get the right amount of nutrients, all the sunlight, whatever it's supposed to get, they won't get, and these plants will take over. So they have to be, these plants called weeds, unwanted plants or undesirable plants which grow along with the healthy crop should be cut off. There are methods for that also. Nothing is done without. We cannot just leave anything unwanted in the field. We have to take care. So you must understand how the farmers are taking care of each thing. We get the end result. We get the rice and we have it. Alas, nothing to do. But how that paddy field is done or how we get the rice, the farmers go through all this. These are the stages in which a farmer goes through. Nobody sees that. Because we have a chapter like this, we know what is happening. So now let's go to, we have to protect our protection from weeds. That's a heading as such. We have to protect our healthy crops now from these undesirable plants. You can see? Here again, define weeds. What are weeds? Okay, when I stress on such questions, you can note it down because these are very common and very important questions. Can be asked, maybe for 1 mark, maybe for 2 marks, depending on the question. The undesirable plants in a field which may grow naturally. It does not just happen, it just grows naturally. It just comes up naturally along with the crop. Okay? The undesirable plants in a field which grow naturally with the crop. These undesirable plants are called weeds. Important. Okay, this is important. This portion what I'm teaching is equally important. Now, what happens when these weeds are grown? They get interfered even in harvesting. Harvesting is the next portion. You don't have to worry. We'll go through that. And may be poisonous even for animals and humans. So, the removal of weeds is called weeding. So, here, what are weeds? Again, the undesirable plants or unwanted plants in a field which may grow naturally along with the crop. These undesirable plants are called weeds. What happens if they are there? They interfere with harvesting. That is the next stage. And they may be equally poisonous for animals and humans. Now, what is weeding? They can ask, define weeds and what is weeding, or define weeding. The removal of weeds is called weeding. You can see those, and I've shown an image there, unwanted plants or undesirable plants that just grow naturally along with the crop. Now, why is weeding necessary? I have mentioned, but we'll just go through again. Weeding is necessary because since weeds compete with the crops, for the crop plants, for water, nutrients, space and light, they will affect the growth of the crop. So such unwanted or undesirable plants, if they are along with the crop, what will happen? They will take up the normal crop, the healthy crop. The crop will not get the water, nutrients, space, which is essential. So this will be affected. So weeds will take over, and we won't get a healthy crop. We'll get an unhealthy crop. So we should make sure that weeding is done. Otherwise, it will interfere in all this what I've mentioned. So I hope you've understood what are weeds, what is weeding, and we can ask a question like this: why is weeding necessary? Okay? Why is weeding necessary? Because weeds compete with the crop plants. For what? For water, nutrients, space and light. When they do this, this will affect the growth of the crop. I hope you have understood. This is not that difficult. I've mentioned the weeds, weeding, and why is weeding necessary. Okay, these are the main things normally asked in this portion. Now I've told you there are ways in doing weeding also. We can't just go and just pull up something like this. There are ways to do it. Farmers just can't go there and just pull up things. There are ways, as we have done in plowing. We've done plowing with the help of plow. There was hoe and then the cultivator. So such tools are used for plowing or tilling. So like that, likewise here also farmers have developed ways how to do it, and there are different ways for it. Farmers adopt many ways to remove weeds and control their growth. They have adopted ways. They have to find ways. Obviously, they cannot leave the healthy crop or seed just like that with these weeds, these unwanted plants or undesired plants. So, tilling before sowing of crops helps in uprooting and killing of weeds. Okay? Tilling before sowing. Tilling is done before sowing of crops. What happens? It will help of uprooting, taking up the weeds and killing of weeds. We can take up weeds when we do tilling before sowing. If that process tilling or plowing is done before sowing the seeds, such plants can be removed up easily, which may then dry up and get mixed with the soil. So when the tilling is done, such plants can be removed easily and faster. So one method is that. Now, next one, when is the best time for removal of seeds? When? We can see that. The best time for removal of seeds is before they produce flowers and seeds. So the farmers know when the flowers and seeds are ready, when it will come up or when it blooms. So before that, we can remove the seeds. The best time for removal of weeds is before they produce flowers and seeds. So farmers have to note all this and keep. Now they have been doing this manually. I've given an image how they have been doing this manual. There's a tool there. The tool there, sorry. The manual removal includes physical removal of weeds from time to time. So the manual removal manually by the farmer, it includes physical removal of weeds by uprooting or cutting them close to the ground. How you can remove the weeds? You can uproot or cut them close to the ground from time to time. When you are taking out the weeds, what do? They manually do it by uprooting, pulling it up or cutting them close to the ground. Either we cut it or we uproot them out and we can take out the weeds. But this has to be done from time to time. Now, how it is done? A tool there is. This is done with the help of a kurpi. I know so many of you must be laughing. Kurpi? You just have to know the spelling. You don't have to worry about the pronunciation. Okay, kurpi. So this is done, the cutting or uprooting is done. Close to ground is done from time to time. It's done with the help of a tool called kurpi. I can see people smiling. Then, after that, not only this manually, now we can use a seed drill is also used to uproot the weeds. Okay, so I'll just repeat what I have taught now here. Farmers, they have developed ways to remove weeds and to control growth. What they've done, when tilling is done, tilling before sowing helps. So tilling, when the process tilling is done, just before sowing, we can do by uprooting and killing of weeds. So when tilling is done just before sowing, we can remove these weeds. That is one point. Second point, the best time is when removal of weeds is done just before they produce flowers and seeds. Second point. Then I said they do it manually or physically. By how? Again, by uprooting or cutting them close to the ground with the help of a tool called kurpi. Next, the next point is a seed drill is used to uproot the weeds. I hope you have understood this much. 3 ways. Sometimes they can ask, mention 2 ways how farmers have adopted. Mention 2 ways how farmers adopt, the removal of weeds. So it's there. There some more points are there. We can see which is easier, but better to learn everything and keep. I've mentioned 1 point: the tilling before sowing helps in uprooting and killing of weeds. Then the best time for removal of weeds is before they produce flowers and seeds. And again, next one, with the help of a tool called kurpi, cutting it right under them close to the ground. Then, as we said, seed drill we did mention, okay, while sowing. That also helps them to uproot the weeds. So for today, till this much is enough. There's enough I have mentioned about irrigation, about the traditional irrigation, Moat, lever system, or the Rahat, or the Deckley, the traditional ways of irrigation. Then I've mentioned about the modern ways of irrigation, RDR, sprinkler system, which you all know, but you got to know more in detail when I explain it. Then the drip system, which is very important, why it is used and where it is used. Okay, irrigation part, that is very important. Then now I've mentioned about weeds. What are weeds? What is weeding? Why is weeding necessary? And today I've just, for today, this is so much is there today I've taught. You have to go through, it takes time for you to go through this and understand. And then I've mentioned some of the ways how we can remove the weeds. So I think for today this much is enough.